Before we go about creating the attributes and attribute sets for our store, it's worthwhile just doing a little bit of a pen and paper exercise beforehand and really having a think about the types of products you are selling and what the potential questions that customers may ask about each of those different types of products. So again, we're bearing in mind that the attribute set is a set of questions for a particular product type, and then the attributes themselves are the actual questions. So really what you want to be thinking about is when a customer, if they were coming into a physical store, what sort of questions they might be asking that particular salesperson. And then you look at each type of product you've got and what those particular questions are. All right. The reason why we're doing this, or this thinking about this at this stage, is because what we want to do is quite early on is set a standard, set consistency for the way that data is input into our store. So it doesn't matter who's inputting the data, there will be a consistency in the data, and hopefully all of that become clear as we go through this section. So first off, I'm going to imagine an item of luggage. But that's one of the things that we're going to be selling in our store. So we have a think about what are the questions that we would customers may want to ask about an item of luggage. So let's start off. So here's an item of luggage. Right, so what sort of things might a customer want to know? Well, they might want to know whether it has wheels. Okay. They may want to know what material it's made of. Right. Then how about the capacity? How much can this item of luggage hold? They might be inquisitive about the brand and things like whether it can expand. Is it cabin friendly? So can it be put into the overhead locker on an aeroplane? There could be all sorts of other questions as well. Things like, has it got locks on it? What are the dimensions, number of pockets? Has it got extendable handles? Okay, so this list of questions could go on for quite some time, but we'll focus on those the top 6 first. Okay, so once we've listed these questions off, the next thing we want to think about is what possible answers there could be for that question. Okay, so let's look at something like, has it got wheels? Or the first one, wheels. Has it got wheels? Well, that's a fairly simple question to answer. There's only 2 possible answers really. It either has got wheels or it hasn't got wheels. So we would put there, that's a yes and no. Yes or a no. Then you look at something like material. That could be a longer list. But again, we may be able to pinpoint certain types of material. So it could only be one of, let's say, 3 different material types. And that could be fabric, it could be leather, or it could be ABS. Okay, so there's 3 different possible material types. There could be more there, but we'll just stick with that for the purposes of this. Then we look at capacity. Right, so what is the capacity? Okay, so in Europe, generally, the capacity is measured in litres. It may be in ounces in the USA. I will assume that it's in litres for this particular one. So we know that the capacity is in litres. So that's likely to be a number. So we can say there that is a number. And we want that to be a whole number because we don't want decimal points on there. So if an item of luggage can hold 50 litres, we maybe say 50 is the number that we want. Brand, again, that could be a list of acceptable brands. Then we've got, can it be expanded? Again, that could be a yes or no. So it either can be expanded or can't. And cabin friendly, you may have a few ways you want to go with this. So again, this is something you want to think about. It could be that we simply have a yes/no field here. Yes, it is cabin friendly. But we could also look at this and say, well, actually different airlines have different dimensions on what they class as cabin friendly. So what we may want to do in the cabin friendly scenario is have a list of airlines that we know that this luggage is currently compatible with. Okay, so how that is selected again might influence how we define the attribute. All right, so now we have those and we know how we want to define it. We can now go ahead and start defining the attribute set for luggage with those questions that are specific about luggage within that. And also just going back to why are we pinpointing how that attribute is defined. So wheels is a yes no field, material is going to be pick from a selection. The reason we do that is so that the person who's inputting the data, it doesn't matter who it is, they're always going to be putting the data in a consistent way, rather than just having this information put into a description field where one person who's putting the data might describe it in one way and someone else might describe it in another way. And again, you're going to get inconsistencies in the data. Okay, so what we're going to do next in the next few videos is go through and actually define these attributes